Hi, my name is William Vandre. I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under the Machado brothers from Brazil. Welcome to Volume 1, Introduction into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Whenever people discuss Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, first of all, they need to be introduced into what exactly it is. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is different from other grappling styles. There are basically 4 grappling styles: Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo, and sambo. Of course, there's a variation of other styles that splinter off these styles, but let me get into a little bit about what the differences are. One, judo, of course, is a style that Jigoro Kano came up with that splintered off from the original Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu itself splintered off Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Judo from the early 1900s in Brazil, off the great fighter who was nicknamed Count Coma, who taught the Gracie family, Carlos Gracie, who was the founder of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu system. Carlos Gracie's nephews, the Machado brothers, who were my instructors, learned from him, and their cousin, Carlos Gracie Jr., who is the head of Gracie Barra in Brazil. And they developed styles and techniques and came to the United States. Everyone has wondered about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, thinking sometimes it's just on the ground, but there has to be methods to get to the ground. The difference between Jiu-Jitsu and mainly other styles is more defending on the back, more techniques from the guard position, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, and some different setups for different submissions. Wrestling, of course, is a takedown style. There's different kinds, like Greco-Roman, mainly waist and up, grabbing to take an opponent down. You have different styles, like the freestyle. And then, of course, you have Sambo, which is a Russian style, which developed into a sport. No chokes are allowed. And basically, they did a mixture of Greco-Roman wrestling and Judo. Judo itself, of course, as I mentioned earlier, was a style that Jigoro Kano splintered off the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu style. And when he developed a throwing aspect, he also, for sport, he also developed the tap-out method to help people develop a safe method of training. Now that we know a little bit about that, let me start developing some ideas and get you to understand a little more familiarity with what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. In Volume 1, Introduction into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, my main intent here is for a lot of people who have not understood or heard a lot about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I want you to learn a little bit more. From this position here, I'm going to work different angles, and I'm going to start from different techniques, showing just a basic understanding of why we do things, what we do, and how we do things. My assistant Taylor. Here, we're going to show one position here. If Taylor took me down, let's say he's a good wrestler, and he just single-legged me and took me down, look what happened. I'm already on the mat. From here into this position, most people will probably try to get out. And of course, I'm giving him my back. Look what's happening. I'm going to get choked, who knows what. So this position here is a good idea why you should develop a guard. From here, I'm going to turn, face Taylor, and pull him into my guard. The guard is when you lock the legs like this. For some people who don't know this or not familiar with it, it looks like an awkward position, but it's actually a very good position of defense. Here, he can't really reach me. If he tries to punch me, for example, I can keep him away, and I can start working for different locks. For example, if I'm going to put my feet on his hips, I can scoot out here into this position. Here, for example, there's a double armbar right here. Here, I can work different moves, scooting here, working on the angle for triangle chokes, or just basically, I'm working positions here on basic arm bars from this position here. A lot of different angles. So these type of angles, what I'm going to discuss a little bit is, first of all, why are they applicable? One, if you're a much smaller person or you're not able to power someone out, you're going to need the guard. The guard also is a good opportunity for you to be able to get back to your feet. Some people can't get to their feet because they're mounted, so they're getting really pummeled or something like that. We don't want to work with that. You want to work with something which you can get out. The other thing is, a lot of times, if I'm in the guard, he's on top, I can actually reverse him here. So here in this position, for example, I can sweep Taylor like this and go to the mount right away. So there's all kinds of different reasons for the guard in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and what the main difference we have as opposed to other styles is we have more of a development in the guard, although some other styles really try to work theirs too. Okay, what I'm going to do now is discuss something about the guard as far as the angles on submitting, choking, things like that. One, I'm just going to go briefly. Here, my guard, I can choke with the collar here, like this, okay? Or angle here, like this. Or go back to the triangle choke. The arm locks here, I can even scoot out, move the angle here, some basic kimuras, or reverses, like this too. Okay? So what I'm doing is just giving you a basic idea right now. And then I'm going to develop a little bit more in just a second. You're going to kind of get another view. We're going to keep going in this direction. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is a little bit of strategies in Jiu-Jitsu. For example, if I'm in guard position, what I'm going to do is I have a couple opportunities. Either I'm defending or I'm getting ready for a setup for an arm lock or a reverse or something like that. So what I want to do here is let's kind of look at a couple angles from BJJ. And let's look at the angles, say, from a tournament perspective. That way we can go over and define the basic positions, what they're for, and I can even include the tournament points, how much are for each of these, so you understand more of how would a tournament go. But these also apply to real life. One misconception is, like, a lot of times people will say, oh, you know, Jiu-Jitsu is that's a sport, it's not real fighting. Oh yes, it is. It's very, very, very detailed and very aimed towards a combative mentality. The thing is, because there's not a lot of punching or something, it is designed for practice as a point, but it's mainly something with all the physical contact to roll around and touch and stuff like that. It's easy to get someone to the ground who doesn't understand a lot about grappling. So these are the kind of things we're working about. Everybody's working Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of MMA fighters work Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because they have to know some ground grappling to add to their striking game. So let's work a little here. What I'm going to do in this position, I'm going to start from the feet. So Taylor and I are going to start. We're going to kind of crunch it down here like this, as if we're starting in a tournament. From this position one, I'm going to shoot. So I'm just going to kind of shoot like I'm a single leg. Boom. So right here, I got a takedown. In a tournament, this is kind of like a wrestling takedown. So when I get a takedown or like a judo throw, I just took my opponent down. If I took him down, one more time, Tom. So here, I'm crouching, I'm hooking here, and I take him down. He scoots out, gets back to his feet. Okay, I don't get any points for this. The reason why is I didn't hold position on him for at least 3 seconds. If I take him down, one more time. So here, I'm going for a single, boom. I take him down, and then I stabilize position here. Or he even goes to the guard. But I'm on top, so I establish top position. Then I'm going to get 2 points in a tournament. And of course, if it's an MMA fight or realistic fighting, a real fight, then I've established top position for me to pass or maybe punch or something like that. Okay, so now we're on the ground. Can you scoot up a little bit, Tom? Now here in this position, let's say he locks the guard. Okay, so he locks this guard position. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on breaking the guard. So here I'm just going to start, but just do a basic break here. When I'm breaking the guard, I'm just going to do a basic pass, just a basic what's called pin and pass. Here I'm going to the side and I'm establishing what's called side control. Why establish side control? Because I'm able to hold him to manipulate his body where he's not able to escape, punch, things like that. Here in this position, let's say he does punch me. He's not going to get much of a punch by retracting his arm. This also, in a tournament, if I hold for 3 seconds, I get 3 points. It's called passing the guard. And although passing the guard is technically beating the legs, if you hold side for 3 seconds, that's where you get your 3 points. Again, passing the guard. Okay, from passing the guard, from the side control here, I'm going to grab the collar and the belt. I'm going to raise up and I'm going to establish this position called knee on stomach. As you see, this leg has to be straight with the shin across the stomach. Here, I'm bridging in this direction. In a tournament, this is called knee on stomach, and this is a really good position in MMA for pinning or subduing someone. A lot of pressure on the stomach, they can't breathe, so they'll try to roll out, get away, and sometimes when they try to scoot towards me, yeah, he scoots toward me, look, I have a nice shoulder lock, or I can spin to an arm bar, or a lot of things. Come the other way. He tries to roll that way, look. If he tries to roll, I can get the hooks, go to the back, and I can get him in a choke and choke him out. Or arm bar, a lot of other different angles. So that's what the reasons for some of these positions are for. Now let me go from knee on stomach. I go knee on stomach. From knee on stomach, I'm just going to hook under and go straight to the mount position. The mount position is a very devastating position in grappling, fighting, jiu-jitsu, whatever. Here I can start working for chokes, or if it's MMA, I can strike him and look. If he reaches to strike, he can't punch me, but I can definitely punch him. This is also tough because even if he tries to retract, he doesn't get very much leverage of the punch, where I definitely can. So this is a good position on mount. If I'm punching him to the face or elbowing or something like that, he's had enough of it, he's trying to roll away. When you roll away, you don't want to put your weight down. Let him go. Here he rolls away. He tries to go to his knees. I immediately get my hooks. Look, I'm just breaking him down. When I break him down, I've got both feet in. This is called the back mount. The back mount, what's so great about this position? This is the worst position you can ever be in fighting. Because here he can't see me. I can pummel him, punch him, elbow him, or I can even go for a choke. These positions here in the BJJ are tough. Of course, you have to know ways to get out of them. There's one other action I want to add here real quick. So we've just covered a takedown, 2 points, passing the guard, 3 points to establish side control. When you establish side control, we look first of all at knee on stomach, and you have to hold for 3 seconds, which is 2 points in a tournament. Then from knee on stomach, I went to the mount. When I went to the mount, I stabilized, and I stabilized for at least 3 seconds. I got 4 points. From this position here, Taylor went to his stomach. When he rolled to his stomach, I immediately got the back hooks in. 1.2 is you have to have both hooks in. I want to really reiterate that. If you only have one foot, you won't get your 4 points. You've got to have both feet in. So in real fighting, you can also strike or choke the person out, no problem. And again, the back mount, that's 4 points. So we worked those angles. Now let me work one more. And this is another angle for points in a tournament. So Taylor is in my guard. I had enough, so here I'm just going to set up a basic hook sweep. When I'm setting up the sweep, I've got my hook. I flip Taylor over, establish the mount here. How many points did I get? Well, I didn't tell you about the sweep, but anytime you sweep or reverse someone, you get 2 points. So all sweeps or reversals are 2 points. Now I've established mount position, so that's another 4 points. So those two positions together, I just got 6 points in a tournament. Here's a misunderstanding about reversals or sweeps. What I did from the guard, because my legs were still in good position, I was technically in the guard. If I reverse, I get 2 points for the sweep. I'm in the mount position here with Taylor. Let's say Taylor powered me this way like you're just reversing me. Here he powers and he rolls me back this way. How many points does Taylor get? 0. He should not get any points for this because he was not in a good position. It's just a power move. So that's not really a reversal. A reversal is when you have control of your guard. Sometimes there's different angles on reversing, but mainly we're talking about the guard aspect. If I reverse, sweep, or what's called sweep, then in this position I can establish my control for at least 3 seconds. Then I got my 2 points for reverse. And probably if I ended up in the mount, I'm going to get another 4 points. I should. Sometimes you end up in the mount, it's really the half guard. Or sometimes you end up on the side mount, not the mount. So you've got to have both legs straddle across for the 4 points for the mount. There's a little bit on basic positions and angles. So kind of review this a little bit, and we'll go on to the next step. So now that we understand a little bit about position, and there's a bazillion ways to get there, which on some of the other tapes you'll see a lot more of that. But now let's look at a little on submission. Submission is a finishing hold. Could be an arm lock, could be a choke, could be a leg lock. So what I'm going to do is go over basically a few submissions. And if I went through every submission, I know we'd be here till 3,000. But let's just confine it to some basic or fundamental intermediate areas, like basic arm lock, basic chokes or collar chokes or something like that. That way you get a brief understanding about what positions and submissions, how they relate and what they're for. So the first submission, let me introduce you into what's called a basic arm lock. And for some of you who already understand what some basic arm locks are, we have some more intermediate advanced techniques coming too. But let's stick right now for just the fundamentals for those who are new to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and for some who need a good introductory about what some certain positions and submissions are. So the first piece I was looking at, Taylor, go to guard. Let me start with something basic. Here, I'm working on this position. Here I'm just going to show a basic ankle lock. A basic ankle lock is I'm in Taylor's guard and I'm just sitting back. When I'm hooking this leg here, I'm going for ankle lock 1. You'll learn more about these on the leg lock tapes, which is on volume 6. Here, into this position, ankle locks are very tough on people because they hurt the ankle into this position. And I'm going to squeeze, hold, squeeze your knees, bridge, tight, yes. Okay? That's a basic ankle lock. And my whole intent here is I'm not going to necessarily break down these techniques so you learn how to do them. You'll learn pretty much a lot of those and a lot more on all the other volumes that we have out. But what I want to do is just show some very brief angles on how people finish. Another piece is I pass Taylor's guard, so I'm on the side. When I'm on the side here, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the basic Americana, which a lot of people know. So here, for those of you who don't, I'm just hooking the arm like this. I'm raising, dragging, finishing like that. Okay? This also, you can work with this from some other tapes too. So here I'm dragging, finish, like that. In this position here, I'm going knee on stomach. When he tries to roll away from me, here I'm going to hook this arm like this. When I hook this arm here, notice my knee is on the back. I'm hooking the arm, I'm going to grab my collar. I can either post here or even just post on his hand so he can't grab the other one. From here, I'm just going to lean, step. I'm going to sit here. And when I'm sitting here to this position, I'm just going to aim back to finish with an arm bar. Okay? Arm bar is easy to do. From this position here, look, we're even going to knee on stomach. Knee on stomach. Normally like this, I'm just going to put my other knee down so I don't put too much pressure on Taylor while I'm showing the technique. Here, have my thumb in the collar. This hand is going to come over like this. This is called the bat choke. I'm walking around. I'm just going to squeeze, go for position there. From this position here on knee on stomach, you can do so many other locks. Knee on stomach, he tries to push out on my knee, so I'm going to push this leg down. I'm sorry, this arm down. I'm walking around, look, I'm going to hook the arm. And I'm kind of showing with a little bit of extra space. The reason why, so you guys can see a little more clearly what I'm doing when I let you know what the name of the technique is, as opposed to real tight, because it's harder to see. So here I'm holding to what's called a kimura. The kimura is a shoulder lock, which I'm torquing the arm this way, okay? The wrist is going towards the shoulder, and it rotates the entire shoulder, okay? Kimura. From the kimura, of course, you can spin to another arm lock and a lot of other different things from this position too. On this position here, from this kimura, a lot of times, and Taylor, can I have you scoot around this way? I'm going to show you another angle on choking. Here, Taylor rolls away from me. When he rolls away, he's going to his knees. Look, he's escaping the kimura. So he has escaped it. Come back one more time. Yeah, walk away just a little bit more. This way. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So here I'm trying to kimura. He rolls away. Here I roll with him. And I'm going to sprawl my weight on him. When I'm grabbing his hand like this, this is called a one-on-one. And I'm just trapping his wrist. Some people, straighten your arm a little bit, Taylor. Let me have your wrist. See, I'm grabbing with the thumb. When you grab with the thumb, it's hard to hold. So I like the monkey grip like that. It's hard for him to escape this way. When I'm in this position here, look, I'm going to go to my knees. He's trying to escape. The first thing I'm going to do is insert my thumb under his collar like this. This is the clock choke. We call it the clock because here we walk in a direction towards the head. We're able to choke him. There's different variations of the clock. I can let go of the hand. Can you raise up just a second? I can let go of this hand and just grab this collar like this and choke that way. Come back down. So here, if I want to just choke this way, I can finish him easily like that. Clock chokes are really good angles to work when someone goes to what's called all fours. Here, let me get you right back in that position one time. Here, when I'm in this position, I'm moving to this position here. A lot of times when guys work here, in this position, they're kind of on all fours. And here, a lot of times, I like to drag them back to the side. When I reach here, pull this here, I grab their foot, I pull, I angle them back here. Let me scoot back just a little bit. So when I'm under this position here, I drag their arm in, I trap, take them under. Look, I'm going to reach under, I've got him trapped. Here's another choke. Here, I can easily finish him too. So these are different angles on submissions, because remember, what we're working on is just introducing you into what is submissions. A lot of different submissions. For example, basic angles on this, more advanced. There's other things, if I want to start getting to a little bit more advanced things. Come here for my guard for a second. Here, for example, I'm starting to move towards an angle on sweeping. Sometimes they post out like this. When they post out like this, I can't sweep him. So here, look, I'm just going to show you my foot comes here, struggles out, this arm comes over. You see what's already happened with tail? And here, if I want, I can't even reach around the arm, he's already tapping, because it's a good shoulder lock. And here, if you want to be a little bit nice, you can just kind of go very slow on your partner, like this, little angles like this. So in Jiu-Jitsu, we have a lot of different submissions, but as you kind of see, what's a part of this game can be part of this or that. A lot of times, you're working one position, you get on top, you're back to the guard, things like that, you don't finish. There's different angles for different submissions. So this is kind of just to inform you and just kind of catch you up to speed until we start working some other things. And we'll work the next thing in just a minute. So now that we got an idea or a little taste of what the rules, philosophies, the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a basic sense is, I want to kind of work a little bit of what it looks like. Sometimes, for example, if you have two boxers sparring, or someone never saw two boxers sparring, which is hard to imagine in America, but imagine if you wanted to see, they can sometimes, jab around and train so you get an idea. A lot of people wonder what it looks like when jiu-jitsu guys spar. Well, in my academy, students spar every class. I spar with all my students all the time. And when I'm rolling with my students, I'm kind of putting them in positions, just staying one notch above them. This way I'm kind of helping them with their game. So here, what I'm going to work with my assistant Taylor, is we're going to work some sparring. But the sparring we're going to do is kind of a couple different areas. One, I'm going to work with Taylor. We're both going to work like very fundamental techniques. Basic passing, basic sides, basic finishing, things like that. So when I'm working with Taylor, we're going to work just some basic angles. The second thing is we're going to develop a little bit more intermediate, things like more getting into some hook sweeps from the guard, or as opposed to scissor sweeps, and maybe even some different arm lock setups or things like that. And then the third one, I'm just going to play around and show some angles that maybe you haven't seen, and so you can get a glimpse of what the difference on different levels are. A lot of people think if they train, you just roll around the mat a lot, you get better, or you're going to become really good. That's not necessarily so. You need to roll, yes, but you better have some good technical breakdown first. You need to have an instructor who can review, correct, and work with you on the mat, who can develop these techniques and strategies for your game for the future. A lot of you, into the introduction, when you're watching this gives you an idea of what the training is like. The other thing is, when you're training in a jiu-jitsu school or academy, you should be training in a safe environment. If someone's getting hurt every other class, that's probably not the best school to train with. If you're not getting breakdown instruction where you're learning a lot, or you're getting corrected for your mistakes, it's probably not a great school to start with. You should probably always look for academies or instructors who, number one, have credible instructors, people who are there to teach you, as opposed to just try to tear your head off or something like that. It's tough sparring, competition sparring is tough. You have to really go hard, full speed, 100%. But you have to also balance. Sometimes you're not feeling good, you didn't get much sleep the night before, you're getting over a cold or something, or an allergy. And sometimes you have to train at 60% or 70%, but it's better than nothing. So always keep your training the best you can. So what I'm going to do now is, my assistant Taylor and I, we're going to kind of just go from a position. I'm going to start with the lock guard, then I'm going to work some basic sweeps, basic finishes, and kind of go from there. And then we're going to break to the intermediate section, then a little bit to the advanced. Okay? So a lot of times when we're sparring in my academy, the best way to spar is never just start rolling. You always shake your hands to show respect for your fellow student and your training partner. Also, when you're sparring, is to better yourself, not necessarily just to roll to see who wins or loses. If you're not improving your game by experimenting or trying new techniques, you're wasting your time. So here, Taylor and I, we shake hands. I'm going to go to the guard. So here I lock guard. Taylor tries to break the guard. He breaks the guard. Look, I'm scooting out already. I'm getting him in a basic sweep one. Now, in the mount position here, I'm kind of working for some basic locks. Taylor starts scooting out. He starts elbow escaping. He goes back to the guard. Look, now he's in this position here. So now Taylor is trying to move for some triangle chokes on me. So he gets one, almost gets it in there in this position. So luckily, I'm getting out of position, hooking. I'm posting underneath. I'm going to pass Taylor's guard, but Taylor's legs are too wired, too flexible, so I'm going to flip Taylor into the flip pass here. From here now, I'm going to go to Taylor's back. When I'm going to the back, I get one hook in, except Taylor rolls with it. He's rolling. Now he's getting on top. So he gets on position here. Once he's getting on top, I'm trapping the half guard. Here I trap the half guard. Taylor breaks that, passes the guard. Yes. Now he gets side control. Here, when Taylor's going side control, I'm trying to push away, but look, he gets the arm lock here in this position. Once he gets the arm lock here, I'm just going to push the leg over the head, come up a little bit, start going to position here. Taylor's going back to the guard. Now he's going back to the guard again. Here, basic 101, bam, I get an ankle lock. Okay? So, that's a little bit on some basic position, basic rolling, stuff like that. We'll be right back and go a little bit into some intermediate. So now you've seen a little bit of some beginner sparring, and some people that might even be a little bit more, but I just want to show little angles and some moves to kind of flow. What I'm going to work now is a couple different angles on the sparring. Here, when I start to position and we start sparring, I'm going to work some intermediate, which a lot of times intermediate is simply doubling up on an angle or a technique. You spar, you almost get one move, you blew it, so then you follow up with something else. First time, like beginner spars don't really get to do that very well. They might try a triangle and then they fail the triangle choke or an arm lock or something like that. Then they go back to the original position, which is called zero. Zero is the position that you start with. And so one of the positions, or philosophies and principles on the BJJ is you don't ever really want to ever go back to zero. In other words, if you start with a guard position and you go to an arm lock, you don't want to get put back into the guard again. You want to maybe switch to another angle or another submission or who knows what. So here I'm going to show a couple times, like I'll make one move. If that fails, then I'll switch it to another move. But Taylor and I are just going to play around a little bit back and forth. So we're going to work a little bit on the intermediate. We're going to show it the same way. Again, anytime you start when you wrestle your partner. And here we're starting on the knees, which sometimes in my my students in my academy, sometimes there's close to 50 people in the class. There's sometimes 40, 45 people or plus that all wrestle along. So it's hard for everybody to stand up and spar and take down everybody at one time. Also, you're able to work straight to your ground grappling. You have to work your stand-up too, like we work a lot of wrestling takedowns and trips and throws and things like that. But you have to separate those two types of training. Stand-up is a different game that you have to work to add to your jiu-jitsu game on the ground. And then, of course, your ground fighting, you should get your sparring in almost every class. So here we're going to work, we're going to work a little bit of intermediate sparring, so you can work a couple different angles, maybe a couple chokes or locks that you haven't seen. So we shake hands out of respect for our partner. We start. Good. Taylor's trying to pass. I have the hook guard now. I go for sweep one. I'm going right for the mount, but look, he already is recovering his guard. So here now, I'm going to hold position from the side, but Taylor's got his hook too. Look, he reverses me now. Okay, so now Taylor goes to the side. When he's going to the side, I'm blocking to position so I can't get taken anywhere. Taylor's trying to go position. Look, he goes for that. Here, I'm going right for the defense. So I reverse him using a counter defense for the lock. Once I'm here, Taylor's going to bring his legs up, kind of go for stretch here a little bit. Now he spins back to the guard. Good. He's got double hooks. Once he has double hooks, look. Now he's got the double hooks. He's going to get the sweep on me here. So he sweeps me high up in the air. But I know the counter to the sweep, so I get him on side. Look, got him on position into a scarf hold. He's moving backwards. He's getting out back door. Now he's got hooks. So instead of letting him get the hooks, I have the half guard. Now, he's trying to go for action, but I have him still trapped. So in this position now, I've got to move positions. I got to get going in position here. Here, Taylor catches me in a triangle choke. So again, I'm going to move, work, break position. He almost gets me an arm lock. And I'm protecting my knee a little bit. Now I'm moving different angles. Here, I'm going to work. Boom. I sit down, and again, I get him in the same ankle lock first round. So, you see we kind of changed the game up a little bit. Here, Taylor and I were working different angles and moving an escape into another move. He almost gets me in a triangle. I escape. He almost goes for arm lock. But ultimately, you say how even though we're mixing different levels or changing levels, we go back to some of the fundamental areas, mix on intermediate, and as you see, I go right back in the end to just a fundamental ankle lock. So sometimes you can mix a lot of things like that. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll show you the advanced stuff in just a second. So now we have an understanding of a basic setup, basic type game, an intermediate type game, and more of the actions and reactions from basic intermediates. A lot of techniques and reactions are predicated on the actions. So if someone's making one move, someone's going to do something to make them make another move. It's kind of like a game of chess. So now we're going to work with a little bit more advanced techniques. So on advanced techniques, when we practice, we're going to kind of go some different angles, some different moves, and we're going to keep flowing around, just playing some different directions so you can kind of see a little bit of a different strategy. Although we're saying beginner, intermediate, advanced, there's so much more to this game, and I'm kind of showing you just a little bit of a glimpse of what the jiu-jitsu game is like on a basic level, an intermediate level, an advanced level, and it helps you to work what angles you need to start with, develop into, and then of course develop into later. So here Taylor and I are going to just play around with this, and again, anytime you spar with your partner, if you're sparring on your knees or on the feet, whenever we're sparring, we always shake hands to show respect from our partner and jiu-jitsu. So here I'm going for a sweep, Taylor backs out, so he's got me here. Now I'm going to go for the knee bar this way. He escapes, Taylor moves, I'm getting on top, Taylor traps me into the guard. He's moving, scooting out. Now Taylor's got me in a hook. Here he gets me into a different reverse, passes the guard. He passes the guard here. Now I've got position here. I'm trying to scoot out, move, position here. I get my knee in here. Once I'm in position here, you see I'm going to rock. I'm going to do right to the knee on stomach. Taylor escapes. Good move. Here he's going again. I'm blocking the arm lock with my leg. He's going for this position. Luckily I have the knee to push me out. Hook here. I'm going for lock. We have a toe hold. He scoots out. So now back to guard. Okay, so now I'm here into this position. When I'm going for hooks, sweeps, he's blocking very, very well. So I'm going to just kind of cook. He backs out. In this position, I'll drag. When I drag here, I basically hook. Now I got position here. When I'm hooking now, I'm going to switch to the mount. Here, I'm on mount position now. Here, when I'm going to mount position, I can go choke, whatever. Remember, beginners trying to do this or this, they already know how to do this. So here I'm moving, he blocks that, he starts escaping. Yeah, he's just boom. I'm pulling to the guard, he gets on top. Here, position, I'm gonna move, boom. Here, I'm starting to move to my hook guard game. Here, I'm starting to move to my angle. Here, I'm gonna end up rolling to flatten him out, and I'm gonna kill him, ultimately with a choke. So, we're just playing with some other actions and reactions here. And even though we're not, really working like full speed pace, but we're kind of just playing. And this is part of the game of grappling. I think a lot of times when people are wrestling, you have to explore the good and bad positions to make your entire game a better grappler. Thank you for watching Volume 1, Introduction into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And if you are interested in seeing my website, I have one. It's www.austinbjj.com. And if you're interested in contacting me or email or phone, I have an academy in Austin, Texas. You can come by and visit. Or if you're interested in being a student, give me a call. Thanks a lot.